home prices in 2024. I have been researching the heck out of this topic for the last few weeks. I've got all the data. I'm going to share it with you and give you my hypothesis of where home prices are going in 2024 right after this. Hey there, it's Ryan Skaggs, and this is the Mortgage Minute. This channel is dedicated to everything mortgage, real estate, and interest rates. And today we are going to talk about those home prices for 2024. Now, before we get into the projections, we absolutely have to look at where we came from. What has it been for the last decade, especially what has it been for the last 2 to 3 years in this post-COVID environment? What sort of house appreciation have we seen? Because that is going to play into where we go from here. Now, before we jump into either of those, I'd be forever grateful for that subscribe. I've got 430 subscribers. I am on the road to 1,000. I would so appreciate your support in the subscribe. Over 97% of you are not subscribed. Now, let's dive straight into it. Now, I'm going to bring up a map here on the screen, and I want you to take a look. A couple of the highlights here. Arizona, 58% appreciation. Florida, 65% appreciation just in the last few years. This is a crazy amount of appreciation. Now, there's a whole host of reasons why we have seen so much inflation and appreciation. I would love your comments below. Why do you think that we have seen this much of housing appreciation? Now, I could maybe throw out there that putting money directly into people's accounts, but having a really constrained logistical supply chain caused a ton of inflation. And I thought that was going to cause exactly what it did. But I would love to hear your comments. I'd love to start a discussion down below. So now let's talk about where we've seen these prices come up. So, if you look back on that map, 30%, upwards of 60% appreciation over the last few years. So where do we see prices going from here? Well, if you're talking about the entire country, which is what I am going to be sharing with you, I've been researching this for weeks to be able to put together all of the relevant kind of data aggregators, economists, websites, people like that. I'm going to put them all together. But one thing you have to keep in mind is that Florida coastal regions should see a pretty large decline. Just like other places, we'll see a small amount of appreciation, and that's how we're going to get to the average. I could absolutely see Austin, Texas, and Denver, Colorado, and Idaho, and California, other places in Texas, coastal Florida. A lot of these places, I think, are going to see a decline. Now, that is just my opinion. Again, I'd love to hear your comments below, but let's talk about why that could happen. So we're going to get to the bigger picture of the actual averages, but I think we're going to see some boomerang migration. People fled when it said, during COVID and said you could work anywhere and got down to coastal regions of Florida. Their insurance tripled, and now they're looking at, hey, my employer wants me to be back, 2 days a week, and I live in Florida and my employer's in, Kentucky, right? So we're going to see some of that boomerang migration of where people are going to be coming back. I also think that with rates dropping, it's going to keep people on the sidelines a little bit till we see that rate drop, where they're now going to be able to jump in to the market. Now, when we talk about what we're going to see in 2024, I'm going to start reading off some of the projections from these various kind of economists and data aggregators. So Redfin, minus 1% in 2024. National Association of Realtors, they believe we're going to be up just slightly. Fannie Mae, up 2.4. Freddie Mac, up 2.7. So again, we're seeing a lot of these minus slight to just plus a few percentage points. That's kind of the range. We see Realtor.com minus 1.7%. Zillow minus 0.2%, so just barely under. Morgan Stanley, this is one I thought was interesting. Morgan Stanley kind of gave two cases where they can see like a 0 to -1%, then upwards of -8% appreciation in 2024. So we definitely could see house prices a little bit lower in their opinion or in their case. What does this data mean for you? Well, if you look at housing prices, and this beautiful drone shot right here. So if you look at these housing prices of this property or that property or whatever, and you're trying to time the market, you're likely going to lose. So if you're thinking about, hey, maybe I should wait a little bit before the price of this home comes down before I potentially make an offer, I would also contend that if the appreciation of a home comes down slightly, but home sales are up and everything points to home sales being up in 2024, if you're waiting for potentially rates to be lower, that price to be just slightly lower, I think you're going to end up against other buyers at that point and could likely being outbid, where somebody might be going over and having a little tougher time in acquiring that property. So, the old saying of when is the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago, and the second best time? Today, right? So when is the best time to buy a home? Yeah, that would have been a very, very long time ago, right? If you would have been able to, you would have gladly had plenty of appreciation. Now, when's the second best time? Today, right? Or now. Because if you're sitting there waiting around and you're waiting around to see a -1 to -2%, I would contend that that is a rounding error. Being on the mortgage side, your monthly payment is going to be, a Starbucks cup of coffee or something different in a monthly basis. I very much doubt that you're going to be able to feel the difference between that $8 a month difference if you're able to see that -1% of appreciation. So that is my take. Put your comments below. If you've made it this far, I'd be forever grateful for that subscribe. Happy New Year, last video of the year. Stay safe, and we'll see each other again very, very soon.